fracking, and Ian Crane is with us also.
Well, yes, indeed. So on Wednesday, three fracking protectors jailed. On the 26th, this was, the judge's name was Robert Altham. So he sentenced three fracking protesters to 16 and 15 months imprisonment in Preston Crown Court. They had climbed on top of lorries at the Preston New Road frack site and had stayed up there for 4 days. So two of them were sentenced to 16 months, one to 15 months. There was a fourth defendant who received a suspended sentence for 12 months. But if we say welcome to the programme, Ian, these guys were not your average environmental protesters as such. I mean, they were professionals.
Absolutely, Mike, and thanks for the invitation to join you today. Yes, the three that have been jailed were Rich Loiseau, who is actually from Devon, and he's very active at Schumacher College, and he also teaches at the Acorn Special Learning Centre. And he's a 31-year-old. As far as I'm aware, no previous history of any direct activism. He was joined by Simon Blevins, who's a 26-year-old soil scientist, and Richard Roberts, a 36-year-old piano restorer. And as you say, the fourth one, Julian Brock, also from Devon, but he had pleaded guilty, so he got a suspended sentence in return for pleading guilty. But these are, as far as I'm aware, the first people to be imprisoned for environmental protest, basically well over a century. Much is made of the 5 people who were jailed following the Kinder Scout invasion back in 1932, but those guys were jailed because of their participation in an affray with the gamekeepers. These were peaceful protesters who simply climbed on the vehicles to cause quadrilla some delay. And I regret to say that at the time, when I realised that they were being left up there by the police, I sensed that they were being set up to bring about custodial sentences. And obviously the intent is to put the fear into people and prevent them from participating in any environmental activism. But I just want to put something in perspective, Mike, with regards to this particular judge, because he decided to defer sentencing following the hearing on Tuesday, where he heard submissions from both the Crown Prosecution and the legal teams representing these individuals, and he decided that he would defer the sentencing until the following morning. So one was hoping that he was going to sleep on it and that common sense would prevail, but I sensed that he got a phone call and probably took an instruction from elsewhere. But Judge Robert Altham, and I'm going to refer to 2 of his previous cases, one in September 2016, where he found a paedophile who had 10,000 indecent images. 684 of those images were regarded as the most serious. And this was an individual who the judge at the time said it's beyond any reasonable person to understand how anyone could gain any sort of gratification from watching a person perform a sexual offence on a child. And he made the observation that one of these images was a child who could be no more than 2 or 3 years old. And the Judge Altham said in his closing remarks, he said, for that reason, you ought to be thoroughly ashamed of yourself. But then he went on to sentence this pedophile to 9 months in jail, but suspended for 12 months and just simply placed him on curfew for 30 weeks. And then in June of 2017, in a similar case, he had a guy by the name of Keith Harley, who also had 254 Category A images, 170 Category B images, and 33,704 Category C images. Most involved girls between the ages of 8 and 10. And Judge Altham sentenced Keith Harley to 12 months in jail, suspended for 2 years, and ordered him to complete 250 hours of unpaid work. So let's put this in perspective. the three guys who were jailed on Wednesday for surfing the trucks outside Preston New Road had not committed any act of violence, or certainly not any sexual offence, and yet they are sentenced to 16 and 15 months respectively, and yet crass, gross paedophiles he allows to walk free with suspended sentence. And the conclusion that one draws from this is that in corporatist UK, paedophilia is far more socially acceptable, where it is to the judiciary anyway, than peaceful activism, where people feel sufficiently motivated to take these actions to prevent the bigger crime of the ecocide and the inevitable negative health impacts that will occur from fracking. And in a perverse statement, in sentencing these three guys on Wednesday, Judge Altham said the defendants have a serious concern for the environment, but see the public as necessary and justified collateral damage, which is somewhat absurd, because that's exactly how the unconventional gas companies view the 10 million plus people who live in the sacrifice zone in the north of England. They just want to get on, frack the geology, and with total disregard for the collateral impact on the wider community.
Okay, and thank you very much for that. Now, just to finish off, do these guys have any opportunity for appeal?
Yes, I'm sure that the appeals are being prepared as we speak. Of course, provided they keep their noses clean, and there's no reason to suggest they won't. In the worst case, they would serve half these sentences, with the other half being under license. But, it's really important that people who maybe don't have any real concerns or interest in the issue.
And with that, we have
this very thin end of a fat wedge, and indicates that the civil liberties that people believe they have a right to enjoy are being removed.
Okay, Ian, thank you very much for that report. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon, no doubt. Maybe Fracking Nightmare next Thursday, perhaps?
Most definitely next Thursday. I will be in court in London challenging the iGas injunction on Tuesday, and I'll be heading back to the studio for Thursday next week.
Superb. Okay, see you then. Thank you for joining us. Let's move on, Brian, unless you've got a comment.
Well, I feel I need to comment because it is so evident that we do not have a justice system in UK anymore. It's a system to protect the wealthy, the rich, to protect corporate interests. And the point was made there. You can have abused children, collateral damage, but you can't go near a fracking company.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on then to